if you had a family member who desperately needed your help? They needed to borrow, say, £5,000, and they needed your help for an hour a day for the next couple of weeks. Would you do it? He said, of course I would. So why don't you do it for yourself? Why don't you find that time and that money and invest it in you to create a better life for yourself and the people around you? If you really want it, you'll find time.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
No, I'm laughing because it's one. Marquise and I definitely had this conversation.
Welcome to the Solid Health Podcast. My name is Chris, and on today's episode, I'm joined by two amazing coaches. First, we have success mindset coach and hypnotherapist, Sarah TRIMBY. And second, of course, weight loss coach, Marquise Barnes. We will be talking obstacles, why people fear them, and the best ways to handle them.
Hey.
I saw.
Intro music. I Want to Be Somebody, instrumental by Lost. All right. A little bit. Hey, Mr. David, how are you? I hope everything is well. So we're waiting on Sarah. I just invited her. This music. I don't know if you're big on rock music, but this is starting to become a thing for me. I mix it. You love rock music? Yeah. So I've been tapping into a lot of rock, just to mix things up. I mean, hip hop's cool, but I don't know. Rock has that different feel, that different energy. Like you have that dominance that, hey, I can do this. So I was like, Dad, you'd be surprised.
Do you work
on? So yeah.
Really?
That's part of my playlist. Yeah, it's part of my playlist. Yeah, so what I do is I use Spotify, so I have a mix between hip hop, R&B, and rock. So I fixed that up. Oh, I think I just lost you. Oh, it just froze on me. All right, Sarah's about to join us. Sarah, I just invited you. I'm going to invite you again. I can make you collab. We can invite someone else, right?
Pretty sure.
Request to join. Yeah, how many? We can invite, well, like at least three people, right? That's what I remember.
I was pretty sure.
Or up to four. There you see, yeah. Okay, Sarah, hang tight. Marquise, are you able to add her? I have no request to join. It just says invite, which you're already here, so it doesn't make any sense.
At last.
Oh, she's in there. There we go. I'm like, what? We're not tripping. We know this works. Like,
it's the first time
not idiots on this.
So.
No, it's okay. Sarah's more Marquise. Sarah's more on
Nice to meet you.
On
nice
Facebook than Instagram. But yeah, Sarah, Marquise, Sarah.
Good.
How's everything, Sarah?
Yes.
How are you? Cool. Thank you guys for showing up today. So what I wanted to focus on, and you guys already know this, is I want to talk about obstacles. And I feel like as not just us as coaches, as clients, our clients as well, there are some obstacles that people tend to see, right? And how do they perceive those obstacles? How do they overcome those obstacles? Like I know Marquise said earlier, sometimes listen to different types of music, like rock music can be a different factor to overcoming and leaning away and not really focus on the obstacles. So let me ask you guys this. Your take on obstacles, now that we're going to the subject. Why do you guys think obstacles are considered important? Now, not just coaches, but as people. So I want to open a conversation like that, talk about hey, what have you seen, your experiences?
Before we get into the
things of
question,
that
can I
nature.
just say this? I am not very familiar with you, Sarah, and I don't think anybody else in our live may or may not know who you are. So if you don't mind introducing yourself and telling people what you do.
Yep.
Oh, yes. Hello. My name's Sarah Trimby.
Yep.
I'm a mindset coach. I originally trained as a health coach. I'm also a hypnotherapist because as I trained as a health coach, I realised how much it all comes from the mind. All our results start from the mind. So anything you want to change, you have to go to where you created it in the first place. So that's what I help people with, is to get success through reprogramming their mind, understanding how to use its powers. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Good.
It does. Yeah. And there's one person that you follow is Bob
He
Proctor,
was my mentor.
understanding, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Very powerful information content he has.
Okay. So obstacles are kind of like in your avenue, right? Because I know one of the big things I know with when we talk, Sarah, is when it comes to the subconscious mind, so your inner being.
I think we need obstacles in our lives, whether you want to call them obstacles, challenges, problems, whatever it is, because to work through it is growth, and that's what we need to do to be moving forward and evolving in our life, getting what we want to. We need to grow. And if you're just going through life and you're not experiencing anything different or anything challenging, then you're not going to be moving, you're not going to be learning from things. And you might make a mistake with it. Never think it was failure. You just learn from it and you'll try something else. So it's always, for me, it's about growth. Learning.
Gotcha. Marquis, do you want to add to that? Guys, give me 1 second.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I
Go ahead,
think
keep talking.
a lot of people, what discourages people is the fact that they have to face adversity, face obstacles. But I think, like you said, it's about the mindset. I think if you think of your obstacles and your adversity and your shortcomings as like a trampoline to success, because you can't have success without those failures and without experiencing those obstacles in your path. You can't. So I think when people face those obstacles, the first thing that they kind of experience is, oh, maybe I should step back, maybe I should quit, maybe I'm doing something wrong, without really looking at the bigger picture and saying, hey, maybe this is something I needed so I can propel myself forward. So yeah, I think that people who experience obstacles should try to open their minds up to the fact that it's not just about what's happening now, but what can happen in the future from those obstacles and from those experiences.
Yes, and I think if you're setting the right goals, then you should expect obstacles. Because again, a goal is all about growth, is you becoming a better version of yourself. So if you're heading towards a goal and you're not coming up across obstacles, you're not pushing yourself enough, you're not challenging yourself enough. It's a goal that's you can get, you've done before. So you need to set something that is really going to put you out there and expect challenges, and then it all becomes part of your journey. It becomes fun. Because I always like to think you become sort of like an engineer. So your challenge is a mountain, and you're going to go over it, under it. You're going to the right, left, or you're going to go straight through the middle. You might try all the different avenues, and the last one works. But it's all a learning exercise.
Absolutely. I think the level of obstacles may cause complacency too. Some people who don't experience those obstacles sometimes don't challenge themselves to be better than what they do. How do you feel about that?
Yes, it's some people give up. I think with they don't want the challenges, so therefore, as you say, they have complacency. They just if they get an obstacle, they give up. Is that what you're saying? Because they don't want to deal with it.
Right. Correct.
In their life.
Right.
They don't want that. Yeah.
Right.
I think it comes to, and I don't mean to interrupt, I think it comes to hey, you have an objective. People don't understand there's going to be obstacles or hits with it. There's going to be some sort of, and I know you don't like this word, Sarah, but I'm going to be nervous, I wouldn't even say struggle. I would say there's going to be a challenge lying ahead. So that challenge is going to come. People are kind of afraid of it. That's why they dime down and say, hey, I want to avoid that path. But regardless of what path you take, there's always going to be that challenge. And sometimes people fail to understand or realize that. So it's like, oh, I want to climb Mount Everest. It's like, you can't climb a whole mountain. You're going to get there. I know I got to get there, but I'm not going to climb it all in one day. Maybe one day I'm going to go hit this ledge. The next day I'm going to go hit this ledge. Those are going to be obstacles because it may be a little bit of a challenge because, hey, this ledge yesterday was a little harder than it was today. So I was like, man, and then the next day is going to be even harder than it was today. So the challenges do vary. People just a little shy of it because it's kind of like the unexpected. But people think of it as a fear, rather than an expectancy or something to look forward to. So I'm looking forward to something different. I'm looking forward to that new challenge.
Because we like to stay in our comfort zone. That's the way we're programmed. The subconscious mind is there to keep you safe and happy. So if you get something that's going to push you out of your comfort zone, the alarm bells ring. And that's when you start coming up with all the excuses. Oh, I can't do it because your subconscious mind is trying to drag you back into what it knows is, it deems for a safe place for you. Whereas when you step out of your comfort zone, you push yourself, you're going to something better. And when you push through that, and work through those obstacles, you end up with the greener pastures on the other side.
Makes sense. Which leads to the second question that I had is, why do you feel like people see doubt when it comes to those obstacles? And to your point, Sarah, because we talked about this on multiple occasions, it's that comfort zone. And Marquise, you can probably attest to this as well. People are really stuck into that comfort zone because they're a little niche, like their little cave. Like they're really afraid of the unexpected when they go outside.
I actually have a question for you as well, Sarah. Not to change the subject necessarily. Being a mindset coach, what do you think are some of the biggest obstacles or setbacks that people who you help face?
The biggest obstacles, the ones that come up the most are, I haven't got the time, I haven't got the money. Other things that come up that people don't necessarily admit to, but when you talk to them about it, is what are other people going to think? If I do something different, what are other people going to think? Because we're very much influenced by the outside world. We like to fit in, we like to conform. So if you do something different, it's like, especially family and friends. So they're the three biggest ones, and obviously the fear. But the biggest excuses are always, I haven't got the time, I haven't got the money.
So you being Sarah, the mindset coach, and someone comes to you with these obstacles, what thought process, what process do you go through to help them overcome those?
It's when you really want, if you believe you haven't got the time or the money, it's because you don't really, really want what it is that you're going after.
We talked about that, Chris. We just talked about
Yeah,
we just
talked.
If you really want something, you'll do whatever it takes.
Right.
I know this is a bit of a dramatic sense, but if I said to if somebody says, I don't have the time and I don't have the money, and I said to them, if you had a family member who desperately needed your help, they needed to borrow, say, £5,000, and they needed your help for an hour a day for the next couple of weeks, would you do it? And he said, of course I would. So why don't you do it for yourself? Why don't you find that time and that money and invest it in you to create a better life for yourself and the people around you? If you really want it, you will find time and
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
No, I'm laughing because it's one. Marquise and I definitely had this conversation, And to your point, Sarah, it becomes, this is what you want. This is what you told us, or this is what you told yourself, rather, more importantly, that this is what you want. I mean, you just told me that this priority is major, is 100% a maximum priority for you. And then when it comes around to, let's say, reasons of I don't have the time or I don't have the financial obligations, I'm like, well, let's go back to what you just mentioned. You had a real strong feeling about this goal, this objective. So if you're really, really set on this goal, and you're set on this goal, you would do whatever it takes to smash that goal. You would do whatever it takes to weave around any obstacle, based on the topic we're talking about, any obstacle, any roadblock to accomplish what you need to accomplish. It's funny. It goes back to what your priorities lie. It goes back to what your priorities lie.
It is. It's an obstacle. So if you start with, take the first one, I haven't got the time. Okay, that's my problem. That's my obstacle, time. You've identified it. Now move your attention to what's the solution. What's my options? No matter how bizarre the option might be, write it all down and look at all your options, and then and look further afield. Really open up your mind, rather than just keeping it blinkered to what can I do in my circumstances at the moment. Really open it up. Like how can I get around it?
Right.
And then from the next obstacle, where do I get the money?
Right.
Where do I get the time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
If I can say really quick, I think I may have told you about this already, Chris. The last time we got on live, I had a client who was dead set on starting their fitness journey at the beginning of this year. And we have been through multiple consultation calls. We've talked through our goals, our expectations, everything like that. And then, we discussed pricing and our start date and everything like that. And, everything was smooth. Everything was smooth. Maybe a week before we were set to start, she had messaged me on Instagram and said, hey, I know we were supposed to start this day. We were supposed to set up our payment this day, but unfortunately, I misbudgeted my budget for the month, and I have a vacation. You remember that?
I remember this.
So instead of me spending the money on training, I will rather spend my money on vacation, which you're entitled to spend your money however you want, and I have no issues with that. No issues. I'm always here if they need me. But it goes to show that people will do what they want regardless. And if their goals aren't really what they want, it'll be evident. And they won't put the time and they won't put the effort to make.
This is another session, but we've talked about this as well. Is your goal emotionally driven? Because that's what will help you to work through the obstacles.
If
it's emotionally driven.
That's it. It's very true.
That's another session.
Very, very true.
Back to obstacles.
No, I think that's a good point. It's it goes back to, well, one is the objective, the goal. Two, it becomes, hey, how passionate are you about this objective? How passionate are you about hitting that threshold, that metric, that threshold? I'm put threshold. And most of the time it's like, I forgot about, there's a lot of aspects and obstacles I got to consider. But to the point of, hey, you were really passionate, you were 100% motivated and driven to this. And it's hard because some people have that phase. I'm like, oh, maybe it's just a phase for me. But I'm like, hey, you've kind of written it down. You told a lot of people. So I don't necessarily see it as a phase. I mean, how long you were thinking about this goal? If it's for a while, then is it really a phase? If it's a day or two, maybe it's different. Like if it's for like weeks turns into months, then you got to consider, have you reached that goal in that week or time? And if the answer is no, then maybe it's time to look at another avenue. So it's just funny. Did you guys have any other times? I know, Sarah, you mentioned one where, hey, somebody, not even just a client, but maybe yourselves have had an obstacle, and what have you done to overcome it, or seen people overcome it?
Or if you want to go first, since you're the guest, you know.
Oh, no, you go first. I've been doing lots of talking.
Well, I think, and it kind of goes back to what Sarah had mentioned about, you know, I think clients, well, not just clients, but people in general do things based on. I've had instances where, you know, I know a client is very much interested in my services, and they couldn't necessarily afford to train, because training is the cheapest. My was, I have a business.
Yep.
You know, I want to have an established business. I want to be reputable, and I want to get paid. You know, but at the same time, emotional drive. What drives me to want to train people is the fact that I want to help people. So I had to sit back with myself and say, is my bottom line worth giving up on somebody because they genuinely can't afford my service? You know, and I had to sit with that for a while. I had to really sit with myself and say, hey, you know, this person really needs me. They came to me, and they needed my help, and I'm not going to let you know, my business aspect of, you know, what I do affect somebody else's life. So in the end of the day, I ended up training her for a month, just to give her the basics and the guideline and the track to do what she needed to do. But I think a lot of trainers in general face a lot of obstacles like that, where it's morals over business, over, you know, things like that. And it's hard to decipher, you know. Should I do this? Should I do that? You know, what's important to me? What's important to them? So it's tough. It's tough. That's probably one of the biggest obstacles I've had to deal with lately when it comes to training.
With a lot of coaches, trainers, people offering services along those lines, it is a big obstacle. It's a big challenge, because it's about what you're worth. And then you set the price, and then people want to chip away at it, and it does. You start doubting yourself. Should I drop the price? Should I give a discount to somebody in this? But then you're devaluing yourself.
Yeah.
But that is a big tough obstacle for a lot of coaches, because
Right.
we're doing it because we're passionate about helping people. But as you say, but we still have to earn a living. Yeah, that's it. It works. It does. It does niggle at us because we're of that nature that we want to help people. But we are devaluing ourselves if we keep lowering our prices.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. I no, I don't mean to interrupt. I agree completely. I think, you know, you got to know, and I know Marquise and Sarah, we've talked about this on a couple of occasions. One, the big thing is what is your worth, right? What is your product worth? What are you worth? And then factor into, hey, this is how much I see this being as a coach, and this is how much value I put into this. Because, you know, it's kind of like tit for tat. You kind of want that value back. So when a client or a potential client comes in and says, whoa, that's a little bit more than I anticipated, I'd be like, okay, so what were you anticipating? Oh, I was expecting this and I was expecting that. Well, you got to think. You do have an objective in mind. Just double check with me. This is the objective that you want. This is how badly you want it. If I confirm that, great, awesome. Let's go back to the program again. I got this for you. I got Y for you. I got X for you. On top of this, I got Z. Z is also there. So you can't deny that, hey, everything's there. I've communicated everything. I haven't missed everything out. Does this sound great to you? Do you enjoy the program, or you like what you're seeing? Because if the answer is yes, more so it's about, hey, it's really the price at their end. So that end, you kind of have to figure out on themselves, because it's not about what you've offered. It's about what they can do, what that person can do. So, hey, I've already set my standards. I've explained everything beautifully, right? I've shown you how this is going to work. You even said it yourself that you liked it. What's the next step?
It's I suppose it's the same for them as well. How much do they value themselves? Are they worth, $100 program, or are they worth a $10,000 program? What's their self-worth?
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
And I think also too, going even further, it's again, what's the goal? What's behind it? Maybe I want to lose weight because I'm obese and I'm shaving years off of my life, or maybe I want to get stronger because I want to be able to lift my grandkids, or maybe I want to increase my endurance because my kids are out playing football and I can't keep up. I think those type of things also play a role and say, hey, if this is what you want, how much is that really worth to you? Mm-hmm. Right? So.
Yeah,
I agree.
The scenario that I always use is about your goal should always be emotionally based. So we're all, especially about health and fitness, and a lot of people just sort of say, oh, I'm going to get healthy, I'm going to go and join a gym. And then they struggle to get out of bed or to go off to work, and they keep putting up excuses, and the gym membership fizzles. And it's because they're focusing on the means goal. Whereas if, as you were just saying, if they're focused, they need to focus on what the goal is emotionally it's going to get them. So if it means they can play football with their grandchildren in the park, that's what's going to get them to the gym.
Right.
As I often say is Olympic athletes, for example, any athletes, do you think they really jump out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning and go, yay, I'm going to the gym?
Absolutely.
It's cold, it's wet, it's dark. No, they're not. What's getting them out of bed in the morning and going to the gym is the feeling, the vision of them standing in goal position on the podium. That's what's going to get them out of bed and to the gym. So it's that the gym's the means goal, and you can embrace it and enjoy it so much more if you can see what it's going to bring you finally in the end, what the emotional goal is at the end of it.
Absolutely.
I think that's what people focus on, and that I think that gets people through a lot of obstacles. Focusing on the emotion.
Very true. There was a post that was going around a little while ago with Usain Bolt, and it was emphasizing how much work he puts into for his races, for his, things like that. And the post was saying he puts in years and years and years and work into his body, prepping himself nutritionally for a 10-second race. For a 10-second race. So those obstacles and things like that come your way, it, like you said, it's about the end goal. What does it mean? So,
what's it going to feel like?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How does it change your life? Yeah. That helps.
How do you feel like guys reinforce that goal? Because some people like to write it down. I feel I never know. I mean, Sarah, you probably know a little bit more. Like, hey, what are some successful clients? What have people done for clientele-wise to become successful when it comes to reinforcing that goal? You can tap into this too, Marquise, but do you ever find instances where clients have been successful, where clients have done what they were supposed to do? What have they done? Have they written things down, as I mentioned? Have they put something on their computer, as I mentioned, as we usually do? I don't know if you guys had any stories with that at all, if you had a potential or a client that had that success.
I can say definitely. One of my clients I actually started with last month. I think me and Sarah were talking about it when you had left earlier, but we were talking about mindset, like specifically your mindset to reach. And I think what really has helped with me personally, helping my clients reach their goals, is helping them change their outlook on going to the gym now. I think a lot of clients, a lot of people in general, just starting this journey, like Sarah mentioned, I got to go to the gym again today. Like they look at the gym as a punishment, as retribution for, having gained weight or becoming out of shape, as opposed to looking at it as a positive tool to help them live a healthier life. And I think when I've kind of reinforced that mindset my clients, like, this isn't a punishment. Like, this shouldn't be a bad thing for you. It really should be something that makes you happy. It's be something that de-stresses you. It's making you healthier. You know, I think once clients change their outlook on what working out means to them and what it really is doing, I think they have more success in the long term.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I told you the time of a client I had, and he was really, really adamant on changing his overall lifestyle. It wasn't just the physical well-being. It was more of the mental. It was more of the, it was really everything. He wanted to change it spiritual, but the point is he wanted to change everything. So the biggest thing that he's done, and I've suggested to him, is just write things down, put it on a schedule like you normally would at work. Put a calendar reminder, because that's what I do. If you ever need a third day, obviously I have a schedule for you to, let's say, work out, for instance. You know, I can throw something in for you, or you can write your kind of app that I would use. So like I write things down on an app to say, hey, this is what I have on a third day. Now, granted, there's some things that I specifically want him to do just because of emotion wise, just be able to move freely and move well, to have better, I would say, you know, just better movement in general. But, you know, it comes to times when people want to go above and beyond, and people are like, oh, I want to do it, but I don't know where to start. And I think that's the hardest thing is for a lot of people. So I don't know where to start. I want to do something different. I want to do this, but what's my metric to start? Where do I begin? So that becomes, hey, you know, maybe the thought of not just writing it down, putting it on your phone is a big thing, like an alarm. So it's always about where to start. It's about, hey, you know, you have an objective. I think the hardest thing is putting the first foot forward. Once you figure that out, then hey, it's a little bit easier to put the second foot, then the third, then the fourth. Before you know it, you're jogging. Next thing you know, you're running. Then it's going to be sprinting, if you want to go that far, or climbing, whatever the road takes you. So, but the point being is you have a step, like you have a stepping stone. And like even life starts with a stepping stone. Once you reach that metric, that mountain that I mentioned earlier, okay, so what's next? Oh, I want to hit this mountain. All right, great. Where's the stepping stone for that? How are we going to make the first foot? So
Yeah, I think small
good.
steps is a great way as well to manage obstacles. Because as you say, if you've got a mountain ahead of you and you're looking up at the top, it looks huge. It looks, so you're never going to get there. So if you set yourself little steps, okay, let's get to this one, let's get to this one, and then lots of little steps makes a giant mountain. You'll climb it eventually. Especially from a mindset point of view, if you change things too drastically, or like you're looking at the top of the mountain without your stepping stones along the way, again, that's your subconscious mind is going to be trying to drag you back into its comfort zone. So the more you're pushing yourself out of that comfort zone, if you're pushing it too far, eventually, like an elastic band, it's just too much. It'll just go ping, and you do end up going back into your comfort zone. So many people do, especially with New Year's resolutions. Don't people say, right, I'm going to change what I eat, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to too much. The mind goes, and you can do it for so long, and eventually you will ping back. And that's why so many people by March have given up. So there's small steps and changing into that person that you need to be to enjoy going to the gym and getting towards your goal is all about just little steps, just little steps each day. And before you know it, you look, you know, don't forget, look back down the mountain, see how far you've come, because those little steps very, very quickly mount up. And that's a great way to deal with obstacles. Chip away into them.
Yeah, it's a marathon. It goes 1 mile after the other. It's not really so much, not to like knock down on Usain Bolt, but it's more of a marathon than a sprint. I mean, definitely there's work to it, and you gotta just kind of like have a way of enjoying the process step by step. Like, you know, it's there are going to be some annoying situations. There's going to be some not ideal situations, but you know, just enjoying things outside of that in that journey, if that makes sense to the both of you. That makes it all worthwhile. So like for me, I'm in the like this is my new thing, and I was thinking about it like, man, this is a great idea. Is creating a home gym. So I have a rack and things, and you'd be surprised on what you see on YouTube on online. I was like, man, I'm just gonna do it. So but before, if you're not careful, you're gonna think, oh, I'm gonna be overwhelmed because you're thinking about, oh, I'm gonna do all this in one day. And so it goes with anything, right? If you want to do something and you're really adamant, you can't expect to do it in one day. Maybe some things you can, but there's not a lot of things you can do in one day. So it's a matter of like taking things piece by piece. Sarah, to your point, Marquise, also to your point as well, in making that accomplishment possible.
Yeah,
and make it fun.
You're supposed to enjoy life, enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying the journey, you've got something wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, there are going to be challenging times, and there, and obstacles, and you are going to have some down days, and gosh, am I ever going to achieve this? But overall, it should be enjoyable. It should be fun. Life will be fun.
Yeah. And just accept that mistakes are going to happen. I'm expecting L's. I'm expecting L's. Believe it or not, you guys, Marquise is smiling. I'm expecting L's. I'm expecting a lot of, not maybe a lot, but definitely mistakes to happen. But I'm just going to take it as it is. Manifestation is the word I like to use, Sarah. And I know we talked about it a little bit, but yes, manifesting that. Hey, there's no point in complaining and whining. There's no point in bitching out, not mind my language, but like complaining and but really getting into a mood. You just need to come back and say, hey, was that incident really worth the complaining? Probably not. Sometimes it's how you respond to it as well, because again, it goes back to that manifestation. If you respond negatively, then chances are maybe another negative thing might happen. I was watching an interview with what's called Dorian Yates, who's like an old time bodybuilder, and he said, if you think that, oh, I'm broke or I can't do this, then that's all you're ever going to be. So it's kind of like the same situation here. If you think that hey, I'm broke, I'm not going to be anywhere in life, then you're manifesting that you're saying, hey, this is what's going to happen to me. So be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you say. Sometimes
mind can't reject anything.
Go on, sorry.
Whereas your conscious mind, you can accept or reject any ideas, but then you impress it on your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind can't reject anything. It can't say, "You sure about this?" So it just accepts anything. So what you plant in your subconscious mind, it will grow equally. So it's like a farmer's field. If you plant half a field with lovely strawberries that are good for you, and you plant half a field of deadly nightshade that could kill you, the soil doesn't know any different. It's going to grow it equally. You're going to get just as big a harvest of both. And it's exactly the same with your mind. If you plant something in there negative, and you plant something in there positive, it's going to grow them both the same. So if you plant in there something like, I hate going to the gym, that's just going to grow and grow and grow and become an obstacle. You're actually growing your own obstacle. So you need to get rid of that and make sure you're planting the positive ones. That's where you're manifesting. Yeah. What you're thinking about is you're manifesting. Be careful what you wish for. Because if you think about it, that's growing and growing and growing.
It's what you've gained. So people are so focused on what you've lost. Now, again, going back to the interview that I mentioned with Dorian, Dorian made a good point of, hey, people focus on what they've lost when they've experienced something or went through something. He's like, instead of focusing on that, focus on what you've gained. What have you gained? What have you learned from this? What have you learned or seen differently that you're going to do differently? So that's a big thing. People think of, hey, this is bad, I ain't gonna do this. Sometimes people are not so grateful because they focus, not so grateful for the experience because they focus on the bad things that happen within that experience versus of, hey, okay, I didn't think of this, or man, this is what I got out of this. I never thought of that before, but I know for next time it's something new for me, something I don't know. Told me something I don't know, which is kind of what I want.
Just
So,
trying different ways of different solutions. Keep trying. Don't like to say keep trying, but come up with different ideas. Try it out, and if it doesn't work, it's not a failure. It's only failure when you give up. I think it was Edison said. I think he found 10,000 ways that didn't work. They weren't failures, but he said, okay, that one didn't work. Right, let's try this.
Yeah.
Let's try this. Let's try this. And you will find
Thomas Edison
the solution.
It's true.
Perseverance.
True.
Yep. Yeah. What are some other things? Probably the final question. I know we've talked about a lot already, and talked about handling. What would you say to people who are experiencing tough obstacles or tough issues at the moment? What would you say to them? Obviously there are ways to get around it, but what about people who are still in that obstacle? That still, hey, you're kind of into it right now, and they're doing their best to get out of that obstacle, and then they're going into another one.
Never give up. Keep going.
Yeah, I agree to that. Never give up. Stay resilient. Because me and Sarah were talking earlier about how setbacks don't necessarily have to keep you back, but they can propel you forward.
Exactly.
Sometimes, those setbacks, like, oh, if this didn't happen, maybe a couple years down the road, you have a similar. Oh, if I didn't have that setback last year, I wouldn't navigate this setback this year. So using those setbacks as, learning experiences and not, obstacles, and using trampoline as force to prepare. So resilience for sure, and just that everything happens for whether it's a setback or something that's good, treating them the same, and knowing that they're there to help build you and not to. So resilience for sure.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what your true intentions are, and yes, resilience and never giving up is a big thing. It's easier said than done. I'm not gonna lie to everybody. I'd be shooting you in the foot if that were the case, but I'll be honest, it's easier said than done. I think it goes back to, hey, is your objective strong enough? How important is this objective to you? And every failure you've experienced or obstacle that you've experienced, what have you gained from that? There may be some negatives. I'm not gonna lie, but what about the positives? What about the opportunities? Because maybe an obstacle could open up another opportunity, or an opportunity you may not have seen. I know the objective is still there, but you may have another opportunity to get to that objective. So thinking in that aspect, it's all about perception, how you manifest. I'm going to keep going back to that word, manifest what you see and take in. Fear of failure happens. But to the both of your point, defeat is total failure. You're going to experience that setback, or you're going to experience that obstacle, that roadblock, but it may be a minor interruption. It can't be a defeat, right? The only way it's going to be a defeat is that when you completely give up and say screw it completely. Then you can say that, right? The fight is only over when you say it is.
Your choice
the
if
big
you
thing.
give up, and I think a lot of people regret it because sometimes they get so close, and they think, oh no, and they give it all up. And what they do say is that when people are getting to end of life, they don't regret things that they've done, they regret the things they haven't done. So those times when you said, oh, you don't want to get to sort of, I know it's a bit morbid, but your deathbed and think, oh God, if only I'd just kept going just that little bit longer, if I just persevered a bit more, I could have had this, I could have had that. yeah, don't be somebody who regrets not giving it a go. Just keep persevering.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
life, is to try things. Because one of the worst things you can say is, "Hey, man, I didn't try that," or "I didn't do this. I might have missed something." So that's like, that's the biggest. That's like a big thing. The biggest risk is not taking one or trying one. So, yeah, cool. Well, we got a couple viewers here. I didn't know if you guys had any questions. Did you guys have any questions? I know I stepped away for a little bit for quick thing, but did you guys have any questions for each other, to the audience? Final
I got
questions.
viewer. So we've already discussed everything we've discussed. Identifying people, overcoming the obstacle, changing our mindset. So once we've accomplished all those things, we would say we're pretty successful. Our mindset changing. Is there a period? So after we've changed our mindset and accomplished our goal, what would you say is a good way to maintain that same mindset and not fall back into that comfort zone where we were before we changed our mindset?
Sorry, you're breaking up a bit for me, MAQUIS.
Oh.
Was that for a question for me? Was it how to keep it going?
Yeah. What are some ways to maintain that mindset once we've accomplished our goals and moved
on? It's a way of life. You don't just change something as a one-off. It's a way of life that once you've changed something, then you achieve a goal, then you go for your next one and you change something else, constantly stepping into a better version of yourself and accomplishing bigger and better things into your life. So it's doing it daily, is working on it daily, is keep it going. What to change a mindset takes time, because as you become programmed, it becomes automatic. It's like driving a car. It took you lots of lessons to learn to drive a car. You actually have to consciously think about looking in the rear view mirror. You don't guys change gears, do you? But pedals, all that sort of thing. But then after a period of time, you hop in the car and you don't think about it, do you?
Absolutely not. No.
But if somebody asked you which side are your indicators, you have to, because you do it automatically.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is you have to replace that automatic thought process with a new version of it. And you keep working on that, and when that becomes automatic and you've got rid of the old thought, then you introduce another one that's going to make you grow and move into a better version of yourself. So it's a lifestyle. It's not something like going to the gym. It's not something you just do for a few months and that's it for life. It's a lifestyle. You choose to be fit and healthy, and so it's something you need to keep going. It's the same with your mind. You need to keep exercising. Think of your mind as it's a mental muscle. So the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. It's like going to the gym. The more you exercise your muscles, the stronger they get. Same with your mind. So it's something you need to practice, exercise every day.
I love that point. I love that.
I know one of the things that you mentioned, Sarah, I'm going to chime in, is envisioning and taking that mental break, or that 15 minutes of say, hey, this is my plan for today. I guess that's something you definitely preach to your clients, right? As well as
using
me.
your imagination is massive.
Yeah.
Because it's where everything starts. Everything you see around you started off as an idea in somebody's mind. So what do you want to create in your life? It's going to start off as an idea, a vision in your mind, which you're then going to create as a thought and a fact, and that you're going to act upon to bring into your life. So by using your imagination, it's very, very powerful. to just take time in the morning and just visualize in your, imagine your day ahead going exactly as you want it to. Because all too often people say, oh, I'm going to run into a traffic jam, it's going to be traffic lights there again, so-and-so is going to be late for the meeting, I'm not going to, and they're setting up a negative energy straight away. So visualize everything going as you want it. Imagination is so powerful. So I would say just doesn't take any time. In the shower, when you're having a cup of coffee in the morning, just take those few minutes and in your imagination see it all going as you want. You are going to come across obstacles in the day, but you deal with it and you move on. You don't let it hold. You don't hold on to it and let it drag the rest of your day, be dragged down from it. And you'll find at the end of the day that you'll get home and look back and think, well, gosh, actually that went really well. And then you're feeling better around your family. And oh, come on, let's go out for a drink tonight or whatever. It really does lift people. It's quite, and it doesn't take long before you see the effect. It might sound bizarre, but it really does work. Imagination is very powerful.
For sure. I definitely been doing it a couple times. Definitely a couple times out of the week. It's like, hey, not daily, working on daily, but you'd be amazed at, hey, some things that you find annoying, even though you planned for a great day, you envisioned an awesome day, it doesn't happen. And I've gotten, at least for me personally, I've gotten better at saying, hey, it happened, it is what it is, it's just a phase. And I know I've said this to both of you many times about things are just phases, which they generally are. Sometimes it's easier to say than to repeat it to yourself. But definitely when it comes to, at least for me, when it comes to like that mental envisionment, definitely had that stronger reminder, that the reminder is a little bit more prevalent in there versus you just saying it. So it's different. You'd be amazed. Cool. I don't have anything else, guys. I don't have any other questions, unless you guys have any other questions. Anybody in the audience, we're about to if we don't have any questions, we're about to wrap up. But I appreciate the both of you. Sarah, definitely thank you for coming in. We're both fitness coaches.
So just one quick question to MAQUIS, because you said it's just a weight loss.
Yes.
Okay, so we've been talking about the gym side of things. Do you find that people are becoming a bit more open to the idea that it is in the mind? And for you, Chris, the same thing, that mindset is quite they sort of go hand in hand. A bit more.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, people are becoming more open to that.
So your question is, do you think that going to the gym and mindset? I'm sorry, I didn't follow your question.
Sorry. Are people getting more open to the idea that by changing things in their mind will help them with their perception about going to the gym and the results they're getting?
I think so. I think once so with one client I had mentioned earlier, I think once she realized that the gym wasn't, a punishment, she changed her outlook about going. She was more excited to go. When she was more excited to go, she was more excited to put in more work when she planned and be more consistent with that. And then once you open your mind from there, you open your mind to everything else. Like, oh, these are the goals I've accomplished going to the gym. Once you see the accomplishments that you've made, then you're like, oh, I want to keep working even harder, which makes you more excited to go to the gym over time. And I think just a building block to, increasing your mindset and opening your mind to fitness as a whole. I think for the most part, the clients who I've introduced opening their mind to be more receptive and being more positive about going to the gym, I think they have been, receptive of it, have seen positive goals from it, or seen positive results from changing their mindset. Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah. To tap on to that, I believe mindset is a big thing. I think it starts in the mindset. Even when it comes to fitness, I think mindset is a big a big piece. Once people realize they have empowerment, that they have that control, they're unstoppable. I can't stop them. No one else is going to stop them. They don't even see me, if you want to put it that way. They don't even notice that I'm there because they're that envisioned and focused on that goal. Right. If I come across as a coach, or as anybody can come across that person as, hey, you need to do this and that, then one, I'm not doing my job as a coach, and two, and this is to anybody, you come across as, oh, this guy's really not so much putting me down, but putting some restrictions on me. Once you take those restrictions off, once you shed those, I wouldn't say shed those chains, but you could say shed those drawbacks or downings that put you down, whatever you want to call them, whoever's pulling you down, that's when people are at their best. That's when people are just unbeatable. So the imagination's there, the thoughts are there, no one's really hindering them down. That's when they become beatable. So as a coach, I feel like it's a big thing to say, hey, you have the power. You can do this. This is a thing that can be done. I'm giving you the water. You're the one drinking it. You have to go chase
positive.
it.
I think
so.
Positive reinforcement. Positive affirmations. I think, and my big social media, Chris. With Instagram and all these different. I think when it comes to what we talked about setting realistic goals, setting small goals, and accomplishing those things over time, and not looking at the entire, looking at the steps along the way. People, they see certain things, they see these social media or these magazines or whatever. They don't show you the work that they put in, they just show you the result. So people get that and they say, oh, well, it shouldn't be that hard, right? But they don't really look at how much work and how much time they put into it. So once they hit that wall and say, oh, this is what it takes, it's like, maybe this isn't as easy as I thought. Maybe I should try something else. But like Sarah said, small goals, and not just setting those goals, but once you accomplish those small goals, celebrate those small goals. Because those will make you want to accomplish even more goals. And those small goals turn into big goals and turn into your goal. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's that perception, because people think of one thing and they see it's very different on what's behind the scenes. So, no, very fair point. Very, very good point. Cool. Positivity. That's awesome. Cool, guys. This has been great. This has been awesome, guys. Yeah, I hope you guys I've got a lot out of this, at least for me. I hope both of you guys do. Good. We're definitely going to do this again. We're going to add some more people for sure. We're going to make this fun. And that's the idea, to make it fun. So for those who are still watching, keeping up with us, let us know what you want. We got some plans of our own on what to do for the next live, but let us know what you want us to talk about. If there's something specific that you want us to talk about, tell us, message us, let us know, and then we'll definitely take that into consideration. Those following, watching us, thank you. Sarah, mindset coach, definitely give her a follow. She's awesome at what she does. She follows by Proctor. Of course, you already know MAQUIS. MAQUIS is always there. Awesome coach. Follow him as well. Check him out. And, of course, you got me as well. Well, guys, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. You guys have been great. Hope you guys, thank you. Thank you.
You were very informative, very well spoken, very knowledgeable. I was taking the entire time you've been talking.
Yeah,
you're great. You're great.
Terrific.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your guys' day. Stay safe, stay warm.
Hey, bro.
Okay.
We'll catch up.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. The aim is to make a positive impact to as many people as possible. So if you enjoyed this, please share the show and help grow this podcast. I appreciate you guys. Keep pushing. I'll catch you later.